will hold responsible the people who attacked our troops. We'll do so at a time and a place of our choosing.
That's Secretary of State Antony Blinken there speaking this week, promising retaliatory action against the militia that attacked a U.S. military installation in Jordan over the weekend. We know that 3 service members you see right here, they were all killed, and they've been identified as Sergeant William Jerome Rivers and Specialist Kennedy LaDon Sanders and Brianna Alexandria Moffitt. All 3 of them are from Georgia. Thanks for staying with us this afternoon, everyone. I'm Colton Bradford.
And I'm Priscilla Casper. Now, the Biden administration says it's not a matter of if the U.S. will respond, but when. And right now it appears the militia may have been backed by Iran, but Iran is denying it had anything to do with the attack. Militias with ties to Iran have been launching attacks on U.S. ships and bases for weeks now in response to the U.S.'s support for Israel. But this is the first time anyone has been killed. Now, this afternoon, we have team coverage for you. NBC10 political commentator Sue O'Connell is going to join us in just a moment. But first, we do want to begin with our NBC10 political reporter, Matt Prichard, looking at how this attack is being talked about on the campaign trail and what impact it may have on voters. Matt.
Yeah, Priscilla, the Biden administration is balancing really 3 separate priorities right now. A strong response, but avoiding spillover into the war in Gaza, and all the while fending off political attacks in an already difficult election year. President Biden signaling retaliation is on the way.
Yes.
3 U.S. service members killed and dozens more hurt in a thought-to-be Iranian-backed drone attack in Jordan on Sunday. Now, for analysts,
he wants to keep our nation's enemies guessing.
They're watching the situation closely, recognizing the need for a swift response.
I think what we're going to see is a military strike, and I think it's going to be against the rebels who are responsible for this.
But also pointing out that war between Israel and Hamas complicates the president's approach.
There are a number of groups, including the Houthis and Hezbollah, who are backed and funded by Iran and have been using this as an opportunity. Just as Hamas had hoped that they would.
Meanwhile, on the campaign trail, Biden's potential 2024 opponents are laying out how they would handle the deadly incident.
You go after the leaders making the decisions. Biden still to this second hasn't increased sanctions on Iran. That's lunacy, because you're just continuing to pay them for trying to now kill our soldiers.
GOP frontrunner Donald Trump taking to his social media platform Truth Social and writing his brazen attack on the United States is yet another horrific and tragic consequence of Joe Biden's weakness and surrender.
President Biden!
As for President Biden, he's weighing all the different factors.
I don't think we need a wider war in the Middle East. That's not what I'm looking for.
We want to talk about Biden and Israel now. NBC10 political commentator Sue O'Connell joining us now from the newsroom. Now, after the October 7th attacks, the president flew to Israel, put his arms around Netanyahu, and promised 100% support. Well, here we are now, all these months later, and calls for a ceasefire, they're growing louder. Well, now, as we're reporting, U.S. service members have been killed. So, Sue, what kinds of conversations do you think the president is having with his staff about the U.S.'s involvement in the Middle East, especially in an election year?
Yeah, Priscilla, this is one of those harsh realities of life. American service members are dead. There are 2 wars happening right now that the U.S. has an interest in, and obviously lives are at stake. And a president, every president, is going to try to balance their actions against the re-election campaign that they might be involved in. And as Matt reported, Biden says a decision has been made on what the response to that drone attack will be. I imagine what Biden's talking about with his advisors, though, is about how that will be presented to the American public, and on the campaign front, how that response can be woven into the narrative of the campaign. One thing I think Biden and Republican candidate Nikki Haley will be asking voters is, in a volatile world, who do you want sitting in the Oval Office, me or Donald Trump?
Well, speaking of Republicans, we've seen many Republicans. They've been very vocal. Senators Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham have both gone on the record saying that the Biden administration needs to respond in a major way. But despite that, most everyone agrees that getting into a war with Iran is an outcome that nobody wants. Do you think it's possible for a way to respond in a major way and then keep the U.S. out of war?
Yeah, that's the key. What's major? How do you define that? And that's the dilemma. Biden has to respond in an appropriate manner, or a major way if you're one of the Republicans, that is punishing but doesn't expand into war. And what he's probably going to announce is a number of responses, multiple responses that may include striking Iran allied bases and maybe targeting senior commanders. And as Nikki Haley mentioned in that clip, pulling the economic levers that would put pressure on Iran's economy, like tightening oil sanctions, curbing Iranian exports to exert financial pressure on Iran's economy. All of those things will be on the table.
Now, all 3 service members that were killed are from Georgia. It's a neighboring state of South Carolina where the primary race is now being run. Now, we just heard from Matt Prichard's piece, Nikki Haley and Trump saying what they would do in the situation, also attacking President Biden. Do you imagine that this will become a focal point for Haley and Trump moving forward?
Yes, definitely. The war will, and the attack will, and the response will. But when it comes to how you're treating the deaths of our service members, look, before Trump, candidates for president have always been very cautious and careful about using military deaths, especially recent ones, as they should, as campaign tools. Of course, Donald Trump changed that back in 2015 when he attacked a Gold Star family who spoke at the Democratic National Convention. And then again in 2018 when there were allegations that he called fallen U.S. service members losers and suckers. So we know from prior experience that Trump doesn't really respect the sacrifices that in a way that he probably should. But back here in the real world, Nikki Haley's husband is Major Michael Haley, and he is currently deployed in the Horn of Africa. So I imagine that she's going to have a more personal and different response while she's campaigning about this than the other candidates do, Priscilla.
Yeah, I think all the American people are really interested to hear what all these candidates are going to say in those weeks ahead. Sue, thank you so much for hopping on.
You're welcome.
Well, remember, you can catch Sue O'Connell alongside Corey Smith every Sunday on our political show At Issue. They're going to talk all the major headlines around the country and right here in Boston. It's every Sunday at 11:30, right after Meet the Press with Kristen Welker.